Hey, everybody. I'm Lisa Campion, and this is The Miracle of Healing. Today, we're talking about what it really means to embody being an unapologetic woman. What if we could see money, success, and self trust as sacred parts of our spiritual evolution? My guest today, Wendy Paige Sterling, is an intuitive business coach, energy healer, and founder of the Unapologetic Woman Mastermind. Former corporate executive turned entrepreneur, Wendy helps women reclaim their power, align with their truth, and create prosperity that flows from the soul and is totally intuition based, which is right up my alley. So I'm so excited to welcome you to this show, Wendy.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm so happy to be here. I'm looking forward to this conversation today.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about a little bit about your story and how you got to be where you are today.
Yeah, I feel like so many of us, it's like, wow, didn't think I'd be here. But yet the universe conspired, didn't it? So, really, I became an entrepreneur about 10 years ago. Prior to that, I had spent 20 years in corporate America, climbing the ranks in ad sales. And, that thing called a banner ad back in the day is what enticed me. And it's so interesting because I never really thought about it until I had to, that I was actually an entrepreneur in corporate America. And here I was building these multi-million dollar regions for these really large, women's lifestyle and entertainment companies. And I thought to myself one day, you know what, I could actually do this for myself. And like, I think so many of us, we have that pivotal moment in our life where we get that wake up call. And for me, it's happened a few times, but the first one was really when I realized that my marriage was over. And I decided that divorce was the next step that I wanted to take in my life. And that really opened the door for me to really step in and to start listening to my intuition and to allowing that to really guide me from every step forward. Now, don't get me wrong. I did not enter into my marriage thinking there was a plan B. And when a plan B sometimes presents itself, we have the option that we can either, resist and let our fear get the best of us, or we can really lean into what our intuition is telling us. And for me, it said, Wendy, this is your fresh, clean slate start that you get to have. And so I really started investing in myself. I started investing in my own self-development, both by getting certified as a life coach. I got certified in energy healing training, at first theta healing, and most recently, I'm actually a level 3 Reiki healer. And so I started doing all this work on myself and seeing how incredibly powerful it was and how I was shifting so fast. And I realized that this was something that the world needed to have. And so about a decade ago, that's when I pulled the trigger and decided to really move into entrepreneurship. And within 4 years, I built a 7-figure business. I have since closed that business down and have rebuilt a new one. And I'm in a multi-6-figure business now. And so every step that I have followed to get myself here has been me not only listening to my intuition, but also stepping forward unapologetically as everything that Wendy Paige is. Everything that when I was a little girl was, contained because I was too much, air quotes, I was too much. And I've started to realize that really the way that abundance and everything you desire comes to you is when you really put yourself out there and you are authentic and all of you, because there's other people waiting for you to almost like be that example for them to give themselves that permission to do the same. And so here we are today, and I'm privileged and honored to get to do the work that I do. And I love it.
That's so amazing. I love your story so much because we have a lot in common. And I, I started working as a psychic, when I was 19, and quickly learned that I was also an entrepreneur. Because I've run my own business my whole life. I've never actually worked for anybody else,
Interesting.
and I find entrepreneurship so creative and interesting, endlessly creative and interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I train psychics and empaths and intuitives, so I have sort of one foot in both worlds. And I'm mostly working with um, healers, helping them do business skill, helping them get their businesses off the ground. Um, and you're helping entrepreneurs connect with their intuition. So I think we're kind of on the same continuum here. And it's just so beautiful to see that. I love the work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you. It's so funny because it's like never would I have thought that this would be the work that I was doing, right? Like I have been highly intuitive since I was a little girl. And it was what my mom called my imaginary friends, and they were a
Yeah.
lot more than my imaginary friends. And, I've always been intuitive. I've been very psychic. Clients come to me. I'm really able, it just comes to me. I've got all four clairs, and I'm able to really just, when I get on a call with somebody, I'm immediately tapped into their energy and I can just see it. I just see that blueprint, and it's such a gift. And I used to be so afraid of it. And I used to be so afraid of what people would say or what people would think of me, because I would have these downloads and I would see these things and I would hear these things or hear spirit speaking through me. And, now I've really learned to, and I'm sure you can relate to this too, that, you realize like you're here with this purpose, that we're here for a reason. And my gift is meant to be shared with as many people that I'm able to come into contact with.
Yeah, I love that so much. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how we can use our intuition to help our businesses, because it's not always something that you put together, right? And a lot of times we think of business as, no, you should shut down your intuition. You should choose logic and reason, and you should have analytics, which I mean, I do think we need both. But if you just rely on the analytics and you ignore your intuition, what happens? We build a life that looks good on paper, but doesn't make us happy.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you know, I was at a presentation yesterday and I brought this up. I mean, what do Oprah Winfrey, Sarah Blakely, who's the founder of Spanx, Jamie Kern Lima, who's the founder of It Cosmetics, what do they all have in common? Well, they all listen to their gut. They listen to their intuition. They got doors slammed in their face quite a lot, and they knew that they had something, right? And while those women, may we all aspire to be billionaires, while they all now have, billion-dollar businesses and companies, I say that because there are so many examples of other people that have leveraged their intuition and have leaned on it to have and create everything that they desire. And what I think we've been trained to do is to listen to our minds, right? You said the word logic. We're trained to move forward
Mhm.
with logic, especially in business. The
Yeah.
spreadsheets, the data, the analysis. I mean, hello, 20 years in corporate. If I didn't have research to back up an idea to a client, the client would kick me out the door tomorrow. I'm not saying that data and analytics are bad or that they're not great. What I'm saying is that intuition is an additional data point that we actually ignore and we put to the wayside. And our intuition is something that speaks to us in a whisper. It is not going to be this loud, chaotic, I need proof, where's the evidence, like rah, it's like really loud, versus when your intuition is speaking to you, it's like a little boop boop, hey, what about this? You're just like, wait, what did you
Mhm.
just say? And immediately you're like, but there's no evidence. And then what happens after you're like, ooh, what was that? Fear and logic come in. You've never done that before. You have no evidence. Well, remember the last time where you did something that maybe was 50% like that and it totally failed, right? And I think that we're so afraid that we're going to fail if we listen to that intuition, or some, people may say, like, well, where did this come from? Or what do you mean? And we're so afraid to lean in and to trust that intuition that we go with fear. And then what ends up happening? Well, you either keep what you want from happening or you fail the same way you did the last time. Well, what if you just start paying attention? And I always describe intuition as it's a sensation in your body. It starts in your
Mhm.
body, and then your mind goes, ooh, what was that? Or, oh, I've never thought of that before. And it's a sensation that we all feel. I feel my intuition in my gut. I have clients who feel it more in their heart. Some of them feel it like, in their sacral. Everybody has a different place that they feel their intuition. And whatever it is for you is great, but it's a matter of learning where it is in you that your intuition speaks, and to start playing with it in small ways. Like, what do you want for breakfast? I'm not saying go close down your, six-figure business tomorrow. What I'm saying is start with it small so that you're building a muscle, right? You don't go to the gym
Mhm.
and pick up the 20-pound weights to bicep curl. You start with the 5-pounders and you build up from there. And so our intuition is this muscle that we build, but it's just as relevant as any research or data that you're going to pull in to even support what your intuition is telling you.
Well, yeah, that's so beautiful, and I love the start small. low risk, high reward,
Exactly.
intuitive practice sessions. And you talk a lot about how, like, one of the key elements is self learning to trust our intuition. And can you talk a little bit more about that? And you even make a distinction between um, self trust and confidence. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, it's so funny because the way that we trust ourselves actually starts with our intuition. I am such a firm believer in the muscle that we build around trust has to be rewired so that it's connected to your intuition instead of it actually being wired to your fear, which in my opinion, it's kind of, it's what's the word? It's like you're breaking the circuits, right? When
Mm,
you're on the fear, it's like you're getting the sparks versus when your intuition is locked and loaded and that's where your trust comes from. All of a sudden things start happening in a much, quote unquote faster pace. I love this concept of time as it relates to creating what it is that you want. Time is something that we've created here on this planet for us to be able to conceptualize and to, feel in control of something. But the universe operates on a very different timeline and time exists in a different way, as it relates to the universe. And so when we allow ourselves to trust our intuition, when we start building that trust muscle of it, what ends up happening is you start creating, that's where your confidence is actually going to be coming from. I don't believe that there are people that are confident that don't trust themselves. If you do not trust yourselves, 99.9% of the time, you have very low self confidence. And
mm,
so, if you are somebody who is, feeling a little lacking in the confidence area, I would really ask you, well, do you trust yourself? Do you trust yourself in making decisions? Do you trust the thoughts that are coming into your mind? And I feel like it's not a matter of being mean to yourself or having self-negative talk in any capacity around that, but it's around awareness. If you don't have awareness around if you do trust yourself, and maybe listen, you may trust yourself as a mom. I mean, hands down, top mom right over here. Trust myself as a mom, trust the decisions I make as a mom. In my relationship, I completely trust myself in my relationship. I trust myself as a daughter. When it came to business, I would waver. I have clients who don't trust themselves with decisions that they're making around their business, decisions like
mm,
rates that they're charging, decisions around, well, what do I include? Or what do I want to be when I grow up? Right.
mm,
And so for me, it's really when I talk about self trust as it relates to your intuition, it has to start with you listening to your intuition to build the trust muscle, which as you start building the trust muscle, you're able to actually create a level of confidence, not just in yourself, but really in your intuition. And so you can see
mm,
how all three of them are really, they all build upon the next. But whenever I hear somebody tell me first and foremost that they just don't lack the confidence or that they're feeling a lack of confidence, I'll always go back to, I'll kind of go back in the line of order and start asking about their intuition. And then from there, you build the self-trust, which lends itself to the confidence.
I love that. That's so beautiful. I mean, I feel like our intuition is like a direct connection to our higher self, to our
Yes,
soul, to our purpose. And I think especially for entrepreneurs who want to live like really soulful life, purpose driven, soulful lives, the intuition is how we get the message. That's how we get it.
100%. I agree
Yeah.
with you. And I do say that our intuition is our higher self speaking to us. I mean, for some of you, you may feel like it's God speaking through you. It's whatever
Right.
that higher divine, being. I can definitely say that I know when I'm getting a message. What I didn't mention in the beginning as well is I lost my mom about 4 years ago, and my mom has now become one of my spirit guides. And I know when she is speaking through me. I know what she sounds like versus when it is my higher self, or even when I know that it's God speaking through me. But that's such an important distinction because that higher version, right, of ourselves or of divine they already know the outcome. They have the
Mm.
plan already written for you, right? It's our human that gets in the way, that tries to be in control. I mean, hello, loved being in control, type A, all the way. And it's something that I work on. It's not something that I've necessarily perfected on a daily basis. Some days I'm way better than others. And it's why I think that, if we can just be real about it and just, you know, say that it's something that all of us really, we work to tune into and we work to distinguish, because, I believe we're souls having human experiences, and we're here and we're learning every day. So as we ascend, we're learning new ways that our intuition is speaking to us, the ways, the words, all of it, because we're ascending.
Yeah. Amazing. I love that. And also wanted to talk about money and success because, with my students and clients a lot, they're healers. And I think us spiritual people are really kind of uptight about the money conversation. It, may feel like it's not spiritual or to make money or to be successful. And I hear you talk about it's just the opposite. Like, the more successful we are, the more we're in line with that. So let's talk about money, success, and spirituality.
Yeah, I love talking about this. So I'm so glad you asked. It's so funny because I don't know what it is, but like, it's never about the money. Okay, let's just call it out. Your money story, your reason for not doing something, you're blaming it on the money. It is never
Mm.
about the money. It never is about the money, because you will figure out a way to spend your money if you believe that you are going to achieve a result, if you are going to get something, right? You don't walk into Starbucks and be like, not today, but you're craving that Frappuccino or whatever it is. Like, if you really want that freaking Frappuccino, you are going to go put out your credit card and you're going to pay Starbucks for that Frappuccino. So it's never about the money. Okay. That's number one. Number two is that I'd speak to my clients around sort of re-envisioning, a sales conversation as a curiosity call. Because in my world, money is an exchange of love. It is a
Mm.
currency of love. And so when you are inviting somebody to come into your container, to come into your world, to be in service for your clients, they are, yes, currency of love is they are paying you money and you are gifting them back with love. And it's a circle of love. That is how I envision it, and it's how I try to teach my clients. I can't
Mm.
tell you, I feel like all of us have at some point have a hidden money story, or something that we have attributed to why we get uncomfortable or we hesitate, right? And if you firmly believe in how it is that you show up for your clients, the value that you actually bring your clients, then the money conversation will not feel heavy. It will not feel wrong. It will not feel uncomfortable, because here's the thing. The other person is going to feel your energy. If you're on that call and you're making a pitch for, entering into a program, and they feel your energy of wobble, they feel your energy of uncertainty, they feel your energy of discomfort, even in saying the price, they're
Right.
going to be a no. And so
Yep.
it's about working on your own energy around having these sales conversations, because if you're not in alignment, you're not going to sell a damn thing. If you are in alignment with your value and you know that there is a very large exchange of love on both sides, there is no hesitation on the money conversation. Now,
Mm.
I'm going
That's
to,
amazing.
and if I can take it even one step further, I mean, I think a lot of not I think, I really firmly believe that all of us have a money story. All of us have a story from growing up at some point in time when we, first figured out, what money was. Some of us may be money is scarce. Money has to be hidden. I interestingly grew up with a money story that money is a weapon, right? We use money as a weapon to make people do what we want them to do, or we hold things over their head. And so part of actually what I love, part of the work I do is helping my clients to figure out what that money story is. Because once you are able to really shift your relationship to money, money starts flying in the door. I mean, for example, I have a client in my mastermind. She came to me last year. Her business was kind of more of a hobby than it was an actual revenue driving machine. She came to me, and within the first quarter of the year, she had already made what she made all of the year before in one quarter. She is
Mhm.
now 3x her income by the end of Q3 this year. And it's all because we've been working on her relationship to money as it relates to what she charges, right? Like, how many of you guys like throw the kitchen sink into your offers and you're like, but why aren't people buying? And it's because the energy of the kitchen sink is not what people want. That is not what people want. And so until you sort of like unravel, or as I say, like you peel back the onion of your money story, everything that I've said to you earlier isn't going to land until you correct the energy and your thinking and your beliefs around your own relationship to money, to be able to then go out and see money as a currency of love.
I love that. I think that's great. I love the currency of love. It's so I think us spiritual types have a lot of hangups about money.
Yes.
Earning it, like, is it okay to actually do that? And I did wanna
Charge.
yeah, is it okay to make money, to have money? Um, and let's talk a little bit about the unapologetic woman and your unapologetic woman, mastermind. So what is an unapologetic woman?
That is a really good question. So, in my world, an unapologetic woman is someone who shows up as all of herself, not caring what other people think. She is not asking for permission. She is not looking around the room and scanning, asking for people's, weigh-ins on what it is that she's saying or doing. But she is the woman who just shows up as all of her all the time. And I
Mhm.
think that this is so hard for so many of us because we want people to like us, and we want, I used to be guilty of this where I would like, remember that game show, dial 15 friends to get people's weigh-ins, or, ask 3 different colleagues what they think about X, Y, or Z. And, you know, it's, it's so funny because it all comes back to your intuition, right? If you are unapologetic, to me, it also means that you are tapped in and you listen because you know and trust yourself. So when you are fully that unapologetic version of yourself, your level of self-trust is so high that it doesn't even matter what is happening around you. You may hear people weighing in and you're just like, good, got it. Like, I didn't ask and don't need to hear that information anymore. And so the unapologetic woman that comes into my mastermind, and that we carry through for the rest of the year, it's so incredible to see the transformations of these women from where they were a year ago to where they are even 6 months in, and then another 6 months even after that. It's so amazing how when you create a space for people to essentially, I'll call it practice showing up as that version of yourself in a safe place with a group of people that you have grown to trust and to love and to connect with. And, obviously having me as, the leader of the mastermind, it's amazing how when you have that safe place to be able to practice that version of yourself, how easily it becomes for you to go out into the world and really be that version of yourself, right? Focus groups exist for a reason. Like, to me, a mastermind, or at least the one that I create, it's almost like it's your ability to kind of have that little focus group for yourself as you move along and step further into that unapologetic version of yourself, so that when you go out into the world, you're the badass, and you're just killing it out there.
I love that. That's great. And if for the people who are listening, is there like a small tip or technique that we could start with to help us connect to our unapologetic self? Like where can we start?
It's a great question. I mean, the unapologetic version of yourself, honestly, it starts with your intuition. It starts with you just pausing. It's so hard for us to allow ourselves the opportunity to just stop, pause, just be. And this doesn't have to be 5 minutes. I mean, it can just be 30 seconds of you gifting yourself with a moment of pause, taking a deep breath in. And maybe it starts even with you asking a simple question, right? We talked about this earlier where maybe it's right before lunch and you take that 30 seconds and you just take a pause and you take a really deep breath in and you just say, what do I desire for lunch today? And your mind is going to come in on top of your intuition, but your intuition may say, man, I really want a grilled cheese and tomato soup today. And then all of a sudden, carbs are bad for you. Where's the protein? You should have a green salad with grilled chicken and blah, blah, blah. And so I'm not saying eat the grilled cheese with the tomato soup necessarily, but what I'm inviting you to start practicing is listening to what that first little voice is telling you, right? It may even be no. It may even tell you like, don't say yes to this. So just give yourself a moment and if you're unsure in these moments of if it's not before a meal or something like this, ask a question, right? What is in my highest and best today? And just let the words come through. It may be take a nap. It may be like, don't do something or, say no to this or ask for more time or whatever it is. But honestly, it starts with just giving yourself a moment of pause and just tuning in. That's it. And you're not going to hear your intuition when you're in the day-to-day busy, chaotic. I'm a mom. God knows I chauffeur my son all over the place between school and sports and social life and all that stuff. My intuition doesn't talk to me when I'm in the doing. You've got to gift yourself with the pause where you can come into you as a being, as a human being, being, right? Come into your being and be in that quiet for you to be able to listen.
It's beautiful. It's a great place to start. So, Wendy, if people wanted to find out more about you, where could they find you?
Yeah, everybody, you guys are welcome to find me on my website, wendypagesterling.com. You can also find me across social media. My handle everywhere is at Wendy Paige Sterling. I'm probably the most active on Facebook and Instagram. And if for any reason that you guys are interested in learning more about the work that I do, or if you guys are interested in, I love gifting people with a 30-minute intuitive session so you guys can get some support in learning what it is that your intuition, what it's saying, what it sounds like, where it is that you guys can feel that. You guys can go to contactwendy.com and you're welcome to have a session with me and I'll guide you into where you can find your own intuition.
Wow, that's super cool and very generous too.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for the work that you're doing in the world, Wendy, and thank you for being with us today. I really love your confluence of talents that you've brought together. It's so inspiring, and I think just what the world needs right now. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, Lisa, thank you so much for having me. It was great to meet you.
And thanks all of you guys for tuning in. If you want to find me, you can find me at lisacampion.com. I work with psychics, healers, and empaths to help them really fully step into their gifts because I think the world needs all the healers it can get. Stop by and visit me, leave me a comment. And I thank you so much for joining us here on the Miracle of Healing, where we are saving the world one person at a time right here on Empower TV.